Well, good morning, everybody. That didn't work. You were attempting to move over, and your chair was definitely sticking. All right, so it's not just me today for Business Tip Tuesday.
It's me.
You get Matt too this morning. So I have been doing a series of Business Tip Tuesdays on spouse support for about a month now, and I would say that this right here is the number one topic that we get in building our business. Is number one, how did you get Matt to get on board and support you? The second thing I always get is, what is your role in the business, and how do you support and help me? Everybody's always asking, does Matt run the business? What does he do? And so I think, and then even while we were away last week, we were in Mexico for the Success Club trip. I sat on stage and I talked about the spouse support part and just how hard of a struggle it was in the beginning, and how we managed our time. And so I think today we want to open up the floor for you guys to actually ask questions. So hopefully people are not shy and ask some questions, because we would love to be able to field those and answer those for you and just give you some insight into how not only we got started, but how has our roles evolved and changed over the past 7 years, because our lives look very different today than it did in the first 18 to 24 months, right? Yeah. So for most people, they don't know our story. So I'm going to share it a little bit and then we'll get started. Does that sound good?
Whatever you want.
You can interject at any point in time.
I always do.
I know you do. I know you do. All right. So here is the scoop. So I started coaching. It'll be 7 years in July of this year. So I have been doing Beachbody coaching since our kids were 6 months old and a little over 2.5. And so when I did start, you were working full time. Were you at Heinz still?
When we started?
Yeah. He was working for Heinz. Your job was, what was your job title?
External manufacturing.
So you worked in external manufacturing. You traveled a little bit here and there. You left at what time in the morning?
6:30.
And got home at
5:36.
Yeah. And you were always on your BlackBerry.
Yeah, a lot of emails, probably like 400 emails a day, just corporate stressful job. Everybody's on you for everything and wanted it yesterday.
Yep. And you literally, it was like you would walk in the door and just, you would have that look on your face, like you were exhausted, you were tired, and here he was coming home, and I was like, all right, time to parent, because I'm home with the kids all day long. And we have 2 boys, and we have one that did not like to nap and never stopped moving, and then Bryce was definitely our chill one. But it was hard. It was stressful for me, going from working a full-time job to being a stay-at-home mom, to going from 2 incomes down to 1, to just having a very tight budget, where we basically said, this is a goal of ours to allow me to stay home and raise our kids. Mm-hmm. So if we want that to be the goal, we're going to have to cut every corner and every fluff out of our budget. And we were both in agreement with that. That's what we wanted for our family. And, but it was tough. It's really tough when you say, oh my gosh, let's just go out to dinner tonight. And we look at each other and we're like, well, we can't. No. There's $100 left at the end of the month, so that's all we get to play with and go do something fun. And so there just wasn't that option, or hey, let me take the kids to an indoor jump park and let's play for the day. Well, that's not in the budget. Or let's go to Target. That's not in the budget, right? So not only was I a caged animal in the house, he was stressed out at work, and he's trying to advance so that we can have a little more freedom. And so it was just a rough, rocky start. And I'm sure that most families out there can relate to that story, right? And so when I started Beachbody, I didn't look at it as this lucrative business opportunity. I looked at it, number one, as I had great results with the fitness programs and the nutrition, and I just wanted to teach other people. So for me, it was kind of this would be something fun, and I really want to help people. And Matt really looked at it kind of as a burden, because he was like, your job is to take care of the kids and do the laundry and cook the meals, because I'm working full time. And so there was definitely sort of a miscommunication, and partly because you're these kind of businesses, they don't work. They're they're not real, they're fake, they're, you know, scams or ripoffs or whatever you basically called it. But we also did not have any personal experience with any kind of network marketing businesses, right?
No.
So as I got started into the business, I started to see other leaders that were advancing because I started getting on the team calls. I started listening to national wake up calls and participating in the trainings, even though I like didn't know much about the business. But it started to kind of open up this competitive drive where I thought, oh my gosh, if I could create a little bit of freedom for our family, that would be awesome. And so I really went sort of, I like to say, balls to the walls with my business. And when I say that, it basically meant I stopped doing laundry. I stopped having dinner on the table when Matt got home from work. Our house was like a disaster zone all of the time. Mm-hmm. And every free moment that I had, I was on my computer trying to learn social media, trying to grow my network, trying to get my challenge groups up and running, trying to support my clients and my customers. So the beginning for me was, it was a lot of work and a lot of lack of communication, right? So, yeah. So it was kind of rough, but that's okay. I feel like that's such a big part of my story is that. So we probably went a good 8 or 9 months not being on the same page at all. You did not do any workouts at all. You didn't drink Shakeology at all. No. How did you kind of feel about the first 8 or 9 months?
I didn't like you.
Why? What kind of walk them through kind of your perspective of things at the very beginning?
Well, like you said, everything was in shambles. Things were up in the air. You know, she would actually, one of the things that was my big pet peeve was she would do fit clubs. Mm-hmm. And she'd be like, all right, I'd walk in the door, I'd eat my dinner, and then 2 kids would be thrown at me and said, all right, I'll be home at 8. And then all of a sudden, 9:15 is rolling around. I'm calling her cell phone. She's not answering. You don't know who, what, where, when, how. And I'm like, and then she comes home and she's like, oh, I was talking to somebody. I'm like, mm-hmm. I don't know if you're dead, alive. Like, what's the deal? Well, I didn't want to be rude. I'm like, well, you're rude to me. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah. I'm ripping my hair out. The kids didn't want to go to bed because mommy's not home. You know, that was a good one. I mean, like I said, laundry, all the normal stuff. But, you know, like I said, every time I would see her, I was like this. Not at the beginning because she would be like this because it was an old phone. Yeah. Or she'd be on the computer and the kids would be asking her questions and it would be like, hey, go get daddy, go get mm-hmm. daddy. And I'm like, yeah, come on now. I'm like, this ain't fair.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a grind at the beginning. I mean, and she would make her $27 paycheck. Sorry, I left the screen.
Yeah.
You know, and then she's like, oh, look. I'm like, yeah, who gives a shit? I'm like, you spent 40 hours for $27. So you made month. Like 65 cents an hour. I'm like, we're on the up.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of husbands, like I said, I would imagine think, I mean, you show the money, it's time value. So is your time putting in is worth the value?
Yeah.
Clearly for me, it wasn't because, I mean, we weren't getting headway. We weren't doing anything different except for my wife was just kind of like unplugged or disconnected from the family. Like when she was with the kids, it was all great and dandy, but you know, like whenever I'm home, she was working. And that to me is like, is that what she's doing all day? The house is a disaster, mm-hmm. you know, and it made it hard. It was just, she had her own little path that she wasn't telling anybody or she was afraid to talk about at the beginning. And, mm-hmm. you know, we stepped on eggshells for, you know,
a good 8 or 9 months. Yeah. Before we, you know, got to the point where I was starting to make an income. It was starting to happen. I was still working pretty hard at, you know, the early mornings, the late nights, any free moment. We had no childcare help. Like I was trying to do all of my responsibilities and build this business. And we got to a point about 8 or 9 months in where we just had that like blowout moment where everything from walking on eggshells, it was just like, we can't do this anymore. And we had a really pretty in-depth argument about Beachbody and about my business. And, you know, and it was kind of at that point where you gave me an ultimatum and you said like, if you, you know, it's either our family or our relationship, or you can continue to build your business. And I remember saying, like, I'll quit. I'm done. That's it. I won't do Beachbody anymore. Like, my family is my number one priority. Our relationship is important. I'm not giving that up. And, you know, luckily you said, I don't want to make you choose. I know that you really love this. I know that you really love what you're doing, but we need to get on the same page and we need to find a way to make this work together. And so that was really the beginning point of me sort of setting parameters around when I was going to work, how much time I was going to devote to work, and then just communicating that with one another. So do you remember kind of like, what were some of the initial things that you were kind of willing to give and take on when we kind of had that discussion?
I think one of the first ones was like time management. So, you know, she would sit there and it's like, oh my God, I did all this and I still have all this to do. And I'm like, but dude, 10 minutes ago, you were just scrolling through your page like left and right. I'm like, if you're going to put the work, scrolling is not part of your business. You know, you're actually working social media to build a business. So scrolling and getting ideas, that's fine, but do it quick and get on to the important things. What's going to drive your business, not that. So to me, that was important. So once then she literally came out with her spreadsheet of like, I have time blocks, and started going through that, and she walked me through that. And then that was a good basis because, you know, she was starting to get to that point that she was just overwhelmed with emails and everything else. So then, you know, once she kind of like hit her 120% max capacity, she's like, I can't take this anymore. And I'm like, all right, well, what's our next alternative? And it was the babysitter.
Yeah. But even before that, you started helping me a little bit more. Like,
I would actually, instead of push the bushel of clothes to the side or on the floor, I'd actually fold it. You know, or change, you know, just the little
get the
things.
Kids ready for bed and do bath time and bedtime at certain nights of the week.
Yeah, I mean, when she would have calls, but some nights I didn't know she was having calls, and all of a sudden she'd like disappear, and all of a sudden like the door's locked, and you know, kids are beating on it, and then she comes out like a fiery pit bull, and like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
so it's communication. So communication, getting on the same page. These are the nights I have calls. This is what I need help with. Yeah,
it was the schedule. It was just like, I, you know, and some days I had business dinners, and sometimes they popped up quick, sometimes they didn't. I'm like, I'm not home tonight. And then she's like, what? And I have calls. I'm like,
we would work it out. We would work together to try to make that work. So then we did get to a point where we did hire some help. Yeah.
So we did the babysitter like 2 days a week. And it was like, okay, if your paycheck's $100 this week, you know, you got $40-$50 to play with for your babysitter. And it was that short-term investment into the business, which, you know, it gave her personal time to like sit there and focus. But she understood though that like she had to work at that time. It wasn't one of those,
I didn't go grocery shopping.
You weren't working out, you know, like, because she got up and did her workouts like every day on the dot at 5 o'clock. It wasn't like, you know, she wasn't piddling around.
Right.
You know, so that built some little bit of trust, and then she would taper off, or she would fall back, and then we'd have another talk of getting her back in balance. Or it's like,
and when you say fall off, like I would get out of my routine of like start and stop with work time. I would start to go into overdrive.
Like, hey, we have to leave. Oh, one more email. Oh, hey, hon, we're 20 minutes late. Well, I'm almost done. And then all of a sudden, like, I would start to get fuming. I have like a 3-strike policy in my house, then I'd explode. That's my kids.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, and it's like, all right, I walk over and shut it, and then that would be a big fight. Or, you know, it's like, you know, we actually, you know, at the beginning, we really fought about the iPhone, because she was always on her phone or on the computer, and everybody had the new iPhones, and I was like going to town on them, and I'm like, all right, well, if I get you this, will you be better? Yeah, I'll be better. And then she was on it 24/7. I'm like, this didn't make it better.
Yeah.
So
but here's the big thing is, at each stage, I was not just busy in my like spare bedroom working. Like, I was actually increasing my income. And so I knew that in order to have Matt's support, I needed to show him the actual number of dollars that were being raised. And so that was a big thing for me, to constantly raise that bar, to set goals for myself, to make sure that I was actually producing income. That's the only way most men are going to get on board. right? Like you have to be showing there's some sort of financial gain for the amount of time that you're putting in. And while yes, at the beginning, it is going to be a little bit of income for a lot of time, eventually it will flip if you are working smarter. So at each stage where we started to work together, he was taking something off my plate so I could be more efficient. Us hiring the babysitter allowed me to have 2 hours a day that I could do one-on-one calls or write blog posts or do things like my invites that allowed me to be very strategic with the return on my investment that I was putting into it, right? So
and part of the thing that the husbands, your husbands or spouses, whatever, have to understand, it's not a one-to-one. You're not going to see, the time you put in right now is not going to be in your next week's paycheck. I mean, you'd love it. I mean, if you sell a challenge pack, it's quick and easy, but if you're building your next coaches or helping them, that's another like investment into your business, because you have to spend it, nurture it, and grow it. It's not a plant that you have a seed now. Tomorrow you're eating the tomatoes off the plant. So
right.
And that's a hard thing for people to grasp, because I mean, like when you and I talk now, like if you sign somebody up now, we know it's 6 to 12 months before you really start to see
where they're gonna go.
a lot of who's in it, who's not. I mean, and you're hedging some bets. So, for me, it was, I don't get involved in placements. I don't get involved in who's coaching and who's not. To me, it was just more or less, you have to trust the process. The process is established. We know it works. And then when I started getting more involved, then I started reading up on like the compensation plan and understanding the policies and procedures. So then I could actually have an educated conversation with my wife, or that point in time, like if you did get together, because that was one of the things too that the beginning it didn't help, but because we had husbands, but we had a lot of hater husbands too, and we would congregate and we would get all riled up and and then now, like I said, after a couple meeting some of the other husbands on the elite trip, I know somebody messaged about trying to justify costs to Summit and things like that. I mean,
you encourage spouses to go.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, it's one of those things that it's nice that it's hard because everything's on social media. There's not a physical product other than Shakeology, but you don't see the people you're helping and who's driving it and the enthusiasm behind the business and the actual strategic plan behind Carl's idea and his team and what they're working on.
And going to Summit, really.
You get a glimpse of, like, it is a big show, but it's there. I mean, they're there to show you guys what the next up and coming things are and really drive the year. So to me, that was really important. So
getting to Summit, going to like Success Club trips and any event that Beachbody has, and just being a part of it and networking with other spouses, and that was a big thing for you. I remember our first Summit, I had been a coach for an entire year, and it was sort of in the pool that first afternoon where you were like, oh, your wife's on the computer all the time. Okay, so that's normal. And then you were talking to people that were like 12 and 18 months ahead of me, and they were sort of laying out like, hey, if your wife continues on the path that she's on, this could be kind of where she's headed. And so then it kind of made you say, all right, so this really could happen,
I was so a doubter.
Right. But it helped. Like, it did actually help a little bit.
Yeah. And I mean, when we talked our first summits, I mean, we opened up a Southwest credit card. Well, I'm not a credit card guy, so it hates that. But we used free points.
Yeah.
I mean, we made this the most cost-effective trip that we possibly could because
we didn't have the money.
No, I mean, she got enough money to cover. I mean, I think that
my
was
ticket and
just your ticket. I mean, the free ticket. I didn't even have a ticket.
No, yeah, you're right. Yep.
And we didn't go anywhere fancy, I mean, we had our own room, but that was about it.
And we ate at McDonald's oatmeal, I think, every day for breakfast. We went to like the food court.
It was so basic of a trip.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you say justify, share rooms, do whatever you can just to save a couple dollars, just so you can have the ability to get there. If you're going with your husband, have fun. I mean, I know, like I said, little things in this business can mean a lifetime of like friendships, financial, just, I don't know. We
Give
can
it a
get into that
chance.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, obviously Matt, even though he obviously is fully supportive, we ended up, even until I was a part of the top 10, Matt still was like, I'm not quitting my job. That's, he's never been, he doesn't run his business. It's not like he's enrolling customers and building. He's not my assistant where he like helps me with emails, or he does nothing on the business side.
Well, I work for her, but
we work together, but it's
like a CFO, CEO. They don't normally like each other because one gives boundaries, the other one likes to go on weird, wild tangents.
Yeah, I'm like the Carl Deichler, and you're the financial guy.
Yeah. So
and so that's just how it goes. But we do it. Once we made the decision, like, okay, this is crazy. Our business is, we've quadrupled our income. There is absolutely no reason why we shouldn't make this decision. Like, we needed somebody to be home with the kids. This was obviously our full-time income. Yes, you came home from work. You didn't retire. You just left that part of your job so that we could serve the needs of our family. And so,
and a lot of it came out of vacation time.
Yeah, we did need it. Yeah. Yeah. And then just like, we didn't see each other because you'd come home from work, I'd go to work, and so this was perfect. This work served a great purpose for us, allowed Matt to kind of be gets the kids on the bus, like you do the laundry, you do the cooking, like you organize all of our team events and spouse stuff, financial stuff. He does all the finances, all of the investments, mentors people on how to set up their LLC, how to track their QuickBooks. Like, that is his role, which is absolutely so important to what we do, and makes us just a well-oiled unit. Like, we have better balance because we're on the same page working together. But you certainly don't essentially hands-on work the business side of it.
Nope.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, pieces of advice for people listening that are like, I can't get my husband to work out with me. I can't even get them to like even entertain the idea. What advice?
I mean, you could start at a lot of different spots. Each husband, I've had ones that just won't let their wives post on social media because of their jobs, which I understand. Some of them are so far like they hate it because it costs money. To me, and half the time I talk to the wives more than I talk to the husbands, because it's your doing, right? So keep your say-do. So, if you do get the opportunity to sit down with your husband and make a list of like, this is what I'd love to do and make out of this business, make a checklist, task, a goal board that, you both can see. Because then you can be like, all right, we got this one. Or if there's, to me, it was at the time, I was like, all right, make sure you got your business credit card paid off each week, which wasn't a lot on there, but it was like, just cover that, and then we can start niching away at a couple of our own little pieces of debt, like a credit card. Make small goals that you can continue to build on, because a lot of that stuff, it's like, for us, it was the financial stress that was really a big thing for us, more than it was the time management.
And honestly, if you're trying to build a business and get out of financial, like a situation, you have to treat this like a business, and you have to go to your workspace and you have to say, the bottom line is money needs to go into the bank account. And that genuinely means I've got to create customers and sales. I've got to recruit people to my team. And so if you're just going in and you're just playing around on social media, you're never going to get to that point. So like, you have to be a business owner. You've got to bite the bullet, do the invites, do the things are actually going to move your business forward, or you're going to continue to have this, clashing of the two parties. Mm-hmm. So I think that is something a lot of people want support of their spouse, but they're not doing the work that's getting them to get that kind of support.
Yeah. And don't push, like, to me, I was like, don't tell
I never
me what
pushed
I
you.
need to do. Like, because that was another one. I was like, drink this. No, don't want it. Looks bad. Looks like, chocolates, whatever. But it's like, I didn't, and I wouldn't reciprocate to that. So maybe your spouse won't either. But it's like, hey, could you help me, track my income? Yeah. Just something little, so they can kind of get a taste into it. But like, don't force them to be, hey, if you sign your husband up as a coach, don't tell him. if that's the case. I mean, it's like, because I don't think I knew I was a coach until probably like 6 months later. And I'm like, what is this? But to me, it was like, I still don't do anything recruiter. Somebody asks, I tell them that my wife does this, and I point her in the direction because she's going to rock it more than I'm going to do anything.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
And it took you over a year to start working out, but you, like, even going to Summit, that's where you started to say, well, all right, I'll do the workouts. You never went to a live workout with me probably for 5.5 years. You never went to a Beachbody workout.
So it was probably hungover.
Probably. Yeah. But it just, so it's evolved and it's changed, and I've had to be patient. I've had to be respectful. And that's not always easy to do. I can't say, and like Matt alluded to, I definitely love my job. I love to work. I'm passionate about my career. It is very easy for me to let the pendulum swing the wrong way and to go crazy Beachbody Melanie. Like, that is my tendency. But we have a good balance where, you know, he will say like, hey, you got to unplug a little bit, you know, and I try to be very respectful of that calendar, of giving myself that downtime it's just, it comes down to being disciplined and communication.
Trust me, guys, if anybody can get over this one, this girl would literally work 22 hours a day if she possibly could. So if she can get her balance down, we know it's crazy at times. You just got to focus and really drive what you know it's going to, like I said, emphasize what's going to make you money. Yeah. You know, friendships will come in this business. I mean, unfortunately, like I said, we've lost some friends in this business. Mm-hmm. But it's just like if it's a job, it's like you go to this job, you go to the next one. You're not taking an advancement back. You really want to push this forward. So right. So you've really got to think about this as a business opportunity and treat it like one, no matter if you're working it part-time in hopes that it'll become full-time. If it's something fun that you do, you know, in your pockets, it's just always being very strategic and organized, and just that open communication. And I've shared a little bit in the time management calls that I've done, you know, about Sundays, sitting down, creating your schedule for the list or for the week ahead of what you want to do and communicating that. And then you talked about just setting goals, like the credit card. And one of the things that I have always done is I will keep track of, okay, I've made this much money. This is how close I am. And I will tell him, like, all right, this is how many challenge packs I sold this week. This is how much money that is for us. And so by me communicating that, he'll challenge me and he'll say, well, could you do more than that? Could you, you know? And so we kind of banter back and forth, but it's just that communication that helps keep pushing each of us in the right direction. So, all right. I hope that those tips help, guys. Feel free to share this with anybody that might be interested. I'm reading the comments. That's why I'm kind of leaning in. So many of your talks completely changed how I view this business and my relationship. That is so good. All right, perfect. I'm so glad. So guys, don't hesitate to reach out. You know, Matt always says, like, I'm here to help. I know what it's like to be a skeptical husband. And if you got questions, you know, guys come up to you all the time at events. I mean, like, even on the last trip, I get a lot of different questions now. Yeah. You know, because a lot of the people, but even on the Success Club trips, there was a bunch of husbands that were like, wow, I don't know. And then, like, you know, it's just giving them a better understanding. Because there is no cap, there is no limits. I mean, it's really what you want of this. Right. And how much you prioritize, focus, and drive it. So, I mean, the thing that we always talked about at the beginning is with this business, the nice part about it is you're not out there to hurt anybody. You're there to help them get to be in a better position, whether it's physically, mentally, or financially. So with those three, I mean, you can't go wrong. It's not like you're, you know, out selling an empty product. Like, this is something that genuinely changes people's lives. Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So how do you feel like coaching has made the biggest impact on our life? This business, how has this business made an impact positively on our life? I mean, I think our whole overall family has seen the benefits of it. I mean, my mom's lost 75 pounds and she was a skeptic at the first too. And, you know, getting her you know, her nutrition down. She's still not really exercising. She walks, but, you know, she's lost it just by drinking shakes, portion control, and learning how to cook and eat better. I mean, like I said, like, to me, my dad's cholesterol medicine's down. What it's done to Mel's parents. I mean, they lost a lot of weight. Her dad's 60, just turned something. Yeah, sure, good. But I mean, like he's a full believer, and just he's teaching his kids and he's a gym teacher, but he's actually using some of the moves that he's learned in his workouts in their gym classes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, our kids, I mean, they know it's like, all right, go eat something healthy. They walk into the fridge. They know. I mean, Landon drinks Daily Sunshine every day. And it's not even, we don't force anything. It's just, we let them come in. So.
Mm-hmm. And mindset, I think, with our kids too, just teaching them.
Yeah, I didn't know how to eat as a kid. Who did? Yeah. I mean, it was like whatever Hostess
snack cakes were in the pantry.
Thing I could get my hands on. It was
right. So we talk a lot about fueling your body for the sports that you're playing and for your education and how your brain works and things, and even just the discipline and consistency it takes to build this business. We teach our kids when it comes to sports, our relationship is different than before. I mean, the ability to travel, to do things we would have never been able to do. I think the biggest thing that you always say is like, you get to be home with your kids.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of people have said, oh, why'd you quit? And it was, I mean, I had an opportunity. I mean, my son was going to be in kindergarten. So I had a whole year of half a day with him and then
all day with Bryce, or when he wasn't in preschool.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, these are times that I'm not getting back with them. And for the first half of Landon and Bryce, especially his first 6 to 9 months was a blur. So, I mean, all the memories that we have. So, like I said, it's littler things like, I mean,
that
those
have
are
made a big difference. To me,
but so.
Yeah. So it kind of puts it in perspective when you think about the hard work you're putting in as the business owner and how it can really have a ripple effect on your family, on your immediate family, on your spouse, and then everybody else around you. And so sometimes you do have to kind of pull yourself up by your bootstraps, because it isn't easy. It's not easy to build a business, but it also has been the most rewarding thing. And it gives us so many incredible opportunities. And we look at where we are in our lives, and many of you are also, younger than we are. Like, you may not even have a family yet, and imagine what you can create for your future family, for your kids, if you develop the discipline, the habits, and get on the same page. So it can be pretty incredible. Yeah. All right, guys. So this kind of rolls out our month of the spouse support.
Technically, it's May 2nd.
I know. May 1st.
Oh, it is
May
1st. Oh.
Yeah. So this is it. This is it. We're done with spouse support series, but I have tons of videos on my YouTube channel, lots of live videos from Matt and I that we have done. Definitely let us know if you have any questions at all. Don't hesitate to contact either one of us. We'd be happy to help. So we know what it's like to build a business together. It is not always easy, but it can be done, and you can still have a great relationship in the midst of all of the craziness. So with that being said, guys, thanks for tuning in today for Business Tip Tuesday, and we will see you back here next Tuesday. All right. Thanks, Matt. You won't be here.
Yeah,
all right. Bye, guys.